As a business owner, you want people that they really like what they are doing and they are passionate to invest in knowing more and do better job and doing something to enrich whatever they are doing. Here is a lot of people who don't have people to work. They don't find the skilled workers. They don't find people who are passionate. Canada is a pretty young country, so they need more people. And international recruitment brings you that opportunity. So I said, okay, maybe I do something here, helping Mexicans and helping business they don't have the skilled work.
Welcome to another episode of our podcast, and as promised, we are going to take a step away from real estate for this moment to actually interview a really interesting guest and that runs a very interesting business that I think we're going to be seeing grow a lot more. This guest is Aide Badilla, my mom, and she is the founder of Un Odyssey, an international recruitment, immigration, and integration business for acquiring skilled professional talent. So why I think this is extremely important and very interesting podcast to talk about is because we see a lot in all different industries. I'm sure like for the past 10 years we've seen it on the news saying that we have a shortage of skilled workers, carpenters, any kind of trades. We're like behind. We don't have enough people to do so much that in the real estate side, if we want to look at it that way, in the construction of homes, yes, the government policies are holding back new constructions and making it so attractive, but at the same time, just Google anywhere, they'll say we don't have enough carpenters or even just day laborers in the construction. We don't have enough bricklayers. We don't have enough concrete pourers. We don't have enough skilled labor to build the homes that we need. And that's just across everywhere. And so I thought it would be interesting to chat with my mom and get her to explain what this business is like, how's it been recruiting and bringing so many people over, maybe dispel some myths, and just hear her story. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Okay, so this business, when was the idea first born of you doing this? Because it's we should say it's like a 2-year-old business, 3-year-old business.
3 years, yeah. So the idea born when I was visiting Mexico. Querétaro is the city where we came from. So I was there I think for 4 months, and I moved using Ubers. So every time it's a different driver, and every time you hear different stories, and the one thing they always pop is it's hard to succeed. It's hard to get a job, even in Mexico. So it's very hard to compete because most of the time, even though if you are very skilled and you went to university, it's a lot of competition down there. So, and as we know, sometimes it's hard because if you go and apply for a job, maybe who is gonna get that job is somebody, a familiar, like
someone with connection,
or maybe my niece, my something. So it's kind of very hard to be able to get the job.
Yeah, in Mexico, it's very hard to get ahead by merit alone.
Yes.
Just because you are the best.
And because it's a lot of people down there.
There's a lot of people, yeah.
So it's a lot of competition. So, and then I remember sharing with you when we were talking by phone, and I said, because remember where I went down there is because I thought, I don't want to know any more of Canada, so I'm going back to Mexico. So, but during that time, I realized that I will be more effective with myself in my time and my effort if I came back to here to Canada and do something. Because as you mentioned at the beginning, here is a lot of people who don't have people to work. They don't find the skilled workers. They don't find people who are passionate about the job that they are doing. And Canada is a pretty young country, so they need more people, and the space is big. So I said, okay, maybe I go back, I do something here, helping Mexicans and helping business. They don't have the skilled workers. So I came back on February 2020. So, and I remember that time you start hearing like, oh, COVID, la, la, la.
Yeah.
And then Jesse, your brother, and I, we came around February 2020. And then, boom.
Yeah, the lockdowns.
Yeah. But the idea was there. We were finalizing, checking everything. And even though we did not bring nobody because they were closed, I say we because even Alex helped me kind of to put it together, and we were just waiting because I was ready, and I am very ready.
For that time, I think the shutdowns, anything, it was in a new business. It takes a ton of effort emotionally and physically and just work-wise to get it going. And convince yourself to do it and then start doing it. And then everything happened with lockdowns. I think emotionally, we put that business got put on hold. Even though it could have been done, some other companies were like finding ways of bringing people in, but they were already established. Like it was an extra thing, so we like, and everybody was like, "What's gonna happen? We don't know. Tomorrow's gonna end. We're gonna be okay." And it just like got elongated,
yeah.
and it waited. But at the meantime, we didn't put. Yes, the business didn't start operating.
Yeah.
But
everything, the logistic, the connections.
What were you doing in the meantime? In that one period, the span of 1 year, you started
branding, and also
by doing what?
So of course we have plenty time to kind of as a graphic designer to work with the logo, with everything, and
yeah, so the brand and the visual of who the company was created, yeah. But at the same time, remember,
at the same time, I started a podcast. So the idea was like, okay, I'm sitting here at home, so maybe I can do something related with the business. So my idea was, and I did, like a lot of people I interviewed from Mexico, and then I was brave enough to go to Canadian business.
So we started with, you started with relationships, and because at the end of the day, what is going to get you the best candidates is relationships in that country. You already had some, but it had been like, what, 20 years since your relationships. So you started doing podcasts, which like in under a year, over 100 podcasts.
Yes.
Some days you were, I remember like some days you were doing 3 in one day. Three in one day, multiple times.
Yeah, I remember when I was ready, like when you go to sleep, I remember just doing this.
Like listening to it, yes.
Yeah, because when you are listening, you just...
In the Zoom podcast.
It's like, okay. I totally love it because you have the opportunity to know about the struggles, about the entrepreneur, and also I interview people like CEOs of big companies, and then I interview like people who just have a business, like just start the business in every single sector. It's like amazing.
Tell us some about the sectors.
Okay, so I interview from telecommunications. And the other ones was agriculture, construction, even chefs, human resources. So I was able to know all the background of what is running all the big campaigns for great touristic areas in Mexico. And no, it's so much talent and so much
museum.
Oh yes, I interview. I interview directors of museums. I also remember now. Also, I interview people who are graphic designers, historians.
Everything. in that year, like it was a record. Like it was so many podcasts. I remember it was so many podcasts. And then we started in the English side of the podcast, which landed a couple. It wasn't as many,
but it was a good.
But they were very good.
Also the sectors was
very
agriculture, human resources, mining.
The director of HR of DHL.
Yes. when you think back, you say, holy shit! To be able as a normal people meet those people in those like a networking is very hard, and I was grateful enough to speak with them, and also they were so open with me, and they share the beginning of them and the struggles, and all that journey is priceless.
So after that, then let's talk about when you started your first recruit or let's talk about one case that you want to talk about and the struggles.
It's going to be a year. I think this month is a year that I start recruiting international professionals. So I received a call from Tony Felder. Tony Felder have a farm in Petrolia, Ontario area. They have a pig farm. So he called me and said, hey, I know that you are doing the international recruitment. It is a possibility that you can bring some people to do the swine technician. And then I said, of course I can do that. So right now that farm is running off with 100% Mexicans. It's a team of 4 super professional like agricultural engineers and vets.
Using this business as an example, what is a business experiencing right now in their job market, job pool? If we're using it, let's go agricultural, because that's the case that we're talking about. So agricultural, let's see, this farm, who did it have? Because usually a pig farm, somebody don't know, if it's large enough, you'll have people that are, like you'll have the manager who's managing, who knows about breeding, who knows about genetics, who knows a little bit about everything. And should. If you don't have that person, I mean, you do what you can. And then maybe have a couple hands, for cleaning, checking everything's done, feeding, breeding, and stuff like that. Because this is like 800 sow. 700 sow. How was the farm before?
This farm was struggling with having enough people to work there. So, and I think Tony was a little frustrated about imagine having a business, then you don't have the people who really are passionate and also know what they're doing. So it's hard because
as a business
you need to produce.
You think, okay, like because this business is old. This is a farmer who came from Switzerland from over 20 years ago, and they had their pig farm operating good, and everything was actually and then you as a business person, your business has been there for 20 years. You're willing to pay people, and you can't find people that know what they're doing and that want to work. Because like the agricultural sector is looked down upon or maybe dismissed a lot, but it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
It's not a career, it's a life. It's like a whole life that you choose.
Lifestyle that you love to do.
It's everything, because it will take everything, right? So if you can't hire somebody to do that job, like how do I can operate? Yes. Like how can I grow? How can I do anything? I literally cannot work. I cannot find somebody to work or do this, especially if you're in a small town like Petrolia.
And as we know, everybody wants to come and live in Toronto area. So
at least immigrants want to go
everywhere, even
anyone, anywhere wants to live in the metropolitan areas, because that's where the opportunities are.
That's where is all the life and the opportunities and a lot of stuff going on. So as I mentioned, so he gave me the opportunity to work with him, and I start recruiting. So I start interviewing a lot of people. So the hard part sometimes in Mexico, because I told you they are skilled workers. It is a lot of those people in Mexico. They have a lot of years in experience. So, but how well they speak English.
Right.
So even though in Mexico the second language is English, but it's like sometimes here French is as a second language, but nobody speaks French except the ones that they is almost the first language. So that was a little hard for me,
especially in that sector.
Exactly.
Like you can find anybody that speaks English in the business sector, in the finance sector, in the obviously the tourism sector. Like you'll find English very common in Mexico, but in the agriculture sector,
it's more hard.
It's harder, and even though we're talking about a lot of these people they're engineers. They went to university for agriculture engineers. They have continued studies and specializations.
Like
some of them have masters in like breeding but like when would they ever speak or need to speak English if they're just working in the farm with most of them with other people that are maybe less educated.
So it was a little of a struggle, but at the end, Tony was, I think Tony was more desperate for people with the skills, and he was more, he was, how we say, like a little more blind-eyed if they don't speak well English, because I think at the end of the day, it's more technical work. If they know how to
the pigs don't speak English.
Exactly. If they know how to detect the heats and do the insemination, that's the skill that Tony was looking for. The language, you can use iTranslate or whatever. So he said, go ahead, Aide. So I interviewed, as I mentioned, a lot of people, and then another thing that you have to be very careful with bringing people from Mexico or wherever, like an international recruitment, is like how to choose that particular character, because you have to have like a vision. So I'm going to Canada, but I'm going there to start from zero, because it's totally another life.
Right. We'll go back to Tony and that. Like we'll go back to that example, but I like that. Yeah, I think if you are thinking, if you're in a desperate moment in business and you cannot find the skilled workers, and a lot of these businesses are saying, I'm going to shut down.
Yes.
I remember you've telling me that you've called some business and they're like, I don't know what to do. Like I'm going to close the business just because I cannot find enough people. Yes. Not because I can't get enough clients, not because I'm not making enough money. I cannot find people to work in this sector.
Yes.
Or to do this, be a welder or do that. But yeah, if you choose to go down that route, it's not easy to do it alone, or even if you hire somebody and they don't know what they're doing, because it's not just finding the most qualified, right? Like, oh, this one has a doctorate. What does that mean? We've seen people come to Canada and they go back.
Yeah.
Because the golden rule here is you could be a doctor in Mexico, you could be a highly skilled engineer managing 100 people, but if you're coming here to Canada, you're coming to start from zero. Yes, your trajectory up is going to be a lot faster because you have the skills. You know what you're doing, so you'll have more opportunities. But you still, for the first year, let's say, you're starting from zero, like somebody fresh out of university, or not even university, maybe high school.
I noticed when I was interviewing and doing the recruitment is when they start asking you, okay, how much I'm gonna work the salary, but if I go there, I want to do the same that I'm doing here. I never say to them, but I say in my mind, I say, no, it's not gonna work, because the expectation that you bring is very important. Because as I mentioned, the people that are already here, they know, okay, I'm gonna start. Okay, it's not that they start from zero, but they have to sacrifice a little about the salary. Could be, maybe they were doing a lot of what they are doing right now, but the but is they already know after a year they can apply to becoming a permanent resident. And then from there, it's more about thinking in the future, like I can bring my family, I can start a new life here where it's safe, where I can be more able to grow. So those people are the ones that they succeed here.
And I think they have to be very, I don't know if entrepreneurial, but risk takers.
Yes.
And comfortable with risk, because we've seen people that come and they cannot handle, I don't know if it's the risk of the uncertainty, I was making this much and I was managing these many people.
I was important.
The status, yes. Even though they're not economically, they're not the best, and on top of those. I don't think there is many people that are very tippity top of Mexico or in another country that come here and can adapt that much, because in Mexico you have maids if you have money, you have cooks, you have everything.
And it's more like a different
attitude.
lifestyle.
It's a different lifestyle.
It's not better or worse, it's just another way to live.
So when you're recruiting somebody from another country, you need to know, do they have the attitude and they understand what they're getting themselves into, and do they have the attitude like anything else? Are they grateful and do they not expect it?
Yes.
Getting everything.
That's the tricky part that I can.
Do you think that's the most difficult part?
Yeah. It's not as difficult. It's for me as when I do the interviews for the recruitment is I know right away. If it's like I don't know, maybe the podcast helped me to read people, or kind of is the way that they are more humble, like the way they express, the way they are demand, like they humble, like I don't know, like a humble could be difficult.
Humble,
So, and they are grateful, like you mentioned, because wherever it takes, I want to do it because I'm going to be there. That's the mentality. They come here and know that it's going to be hard at the beginning, but in a year and a two, it's like when you remember those pioneers that they went to in USA when they were
right, yeah,
and they struggled so hard to get to
the west
and start from zero. Remember they were rich people, and
they had enough money to buy the boat trip. Everything they sold
and that's the reason that's the name of the company, Un Odyssey, because really it's an odyssey to come from Mexico to here.
For somebody hiring, the attitude and what they call the soft skills, is it really feasible for any business to hire internationally? If they what can they expect when they hire someone international? Why would they do it?
Why they do it? Because they are going to have a person who wants to, first of all, do the job.
I think that's the basic, They want to be there.
Yeah, and they love what they do.
They're not going to be calling in sick.
It's a lot of, I can mention is, as a business owner, you want people that they really like what they are doing. And they are passionate to invest in knowing more and do better job and doing something to enrich whatever they are doing. So you as a business owner, you want those people with you. And international recruitment brings you that opportunity because first of all, you have those people that they are so grateful to have the opportunity that they can come to a country, that they can support them, and if you are a family, if you have a family, you can bring your kids and keep it more safe. Bring them in a country that they can bring everything to succeed. Because that's the difference from Mexico and Canada. Canada, only the people who they really don't want to succeed, they don't succeed because Canada have everything for you. You just do it. So that's the gain for people when you hire me to bring people to work in your company, because
let alone the skills. Like
Exactly.
if you're a small business here and you want to hire, let's say a carpenter that is extremely skilled, has eight years of experience, went to school, has several accreditations of like studies of to keep developing, keeps learning different skills, and has this certification and has this other stuff, you're not going to be able to pay for somebody like that. Like that's just out of your budget.
Yes.
Only the very big, they're already working with the very big companies.
Exactly.
You won't be able to afford somebody like that. And so you tend to hire more novices, less skilled, less years of experience.
Yeah.
Which is not bad, but you do need those guys with high level experience to teach the people that don't have the high experience. Because if it's just around a bunch of people with 1 year or fresh out of, like they're not gonna learn anything, and you're gonna have to be in there.
Yes.
But so international recruitment opens the doors to having extremely talented, studied, and professional people to work in your business, knowing that those people, they're not coming with that huge title. That yes, maybe like you said, going back to Tony, before the recruitment, who was working in the farm?
High school kids,
people from other countries that had never even been into a pig farm.
Yeah.
But they were just like, they're around, I'll work.
Yes.
I'll pay me,
And maybe they do.
Maybe they tried hard, but they never went to
Exactly.
university to learn about animal welfare or like genetic mixing or detecting the heat of a pig. Like if nobody knows about farming, like you need to detect that all these sows are in heat so you can inseminate them. Artificially inseminating costs money because you have to buy the semen.
And I learned that if you miss a sow that is on heat, you have to wait 21 days for that sow to again be in heat. So they eat, they pay everything. So
medicine,
exactly.
Everything. So you're losing a lot of money if you don't have the qualified people. Translate that into your industry.
Exactly.
Carpentry, welding,
HVAC, whatever. Any sector. And remember, Mexico is an old country. So, and we are a lot of Mexicans, and they have years of experience.
Yeah.
So that is another
how that works. Like this is a great example that I really like. A lot of doctors from the U.S. go do time in Mexico to study when they're coming up. Why? Because I think in Canada as well, because they have a very large population, and they'll get the experience. They'll get to see so many cases, different cases, in 1 year that they wouldn't see in like 5 years in Canada.
Yes.
So the amount of experience, the amount of different cases, exposure of challenges that they overcome. So like imagine being born in a place where even from when you're going to high school, you're already working because that's the culture. Like, so you're already learning from there. Imagine you're growing up in a culture where to be able to even be looked upon at a job interview, you have to have your university, your master's, your 8 years of experience. So like, just so they'll pick up the resume. So that's why they're so highly skilled. That's why they're so highly motivated. And in that, yes, there's lazy people everywhere, but like the people that are gonna rise to the top, or not even to the top, the people that are gonna get employed, they're gonna be people that work hard because there's not an option to not work hard in Mexico.
Yeah.
So it's just part of the culture. So I think that's what you're opening up yourself to. But what's the option? Like those business people that told you, well, we're gonna close because we can't find anybody.
And another thing that I've been noticed is that is a lot of misunderstanding or miseducation or not educated about people who are in Mexico, because the news is always the bad stuff here. So it's even people who ask me, oh, but you don't have people like that in Mexico. Okay. I remember one guy that he was the manager in those kind of agencies, like when you buy a car,
Yeah,
so the car
dealership.
dealers,
The car dealership.
and you know they also have the mechanics. They work for them. And I went there and offered my services, and he was like, but you in Mexico don't have like a automatic transmission, and maybe your mechanics don't know that. And I said, I didn't say nothing because it's not my job to educate people, but it's like okay, it's so much people that they think that we don't have enough people down there, like with experience and the talent and everything. So
there needs to be more education and more exposure into like what Mexico has to offer. I mean, a lot of Volkswagens are made in Mexico to a point, right? They like assemblies and stuff.
Everything in Mexico is like we have a lot of industries, a lot of industries. So I can have 5 from every one. Like for people, I'm not worried about they don't have enough people to be able to hire for Canadian companies. So anything.
So if we go back to the example of this farm, when you came in, there were people, I think it was completely full of people that weren't qualified, let's say.
Yeah.
And a manager that was.
I don't think so. I don't think they have a manager. I think Tony was doing the management a little.
It was being kept.
Yes.
It wasn't exceeding. Like a lot of errors, a lot of bad things were happening.
A lot. So.
And then you recruited the first one that started working. We need a second one. So throughout the year, they find it being replaced everybody. Now there's 4 Mexican workers that are highly skilled running that farm. And I mean, if you see the testimonial video, I don't know remember the percentage, but like it has grown. It has, from the words of the owner, they are doing better numbers in performance in all ranks, better than the top European farms that are run like super efficient, super high. That take years to do. Right now, they're at the top of the game.
Yes, and when Javier was the first one, and he was very skilled in heat detection and insemination and everything. So I think Tony, 3 days after, called me and said, wow, I want another Javier here. like he always used as soon as possible. That's the word that he always used, as soon as possible. I did. Okay, Tony, no worries. Yeah, totally. And every time that he start because there are guys that they've been here 4 months ago. Tony, every time he's so surprised about the
Every day there's something else that's surprising
him. And he always mentioned one time that he said, I just wake up today and I pinch myself because seeing those changes in the farm and even thinking about growing is like
When the first time you met up with him, he said, I just want to keep running at the level that we're at.
Yes.
I don't want to expand. I've been I'm too old. I'm doing it too long. I just want to sustain it. And now he's saying that he wants to grow it.
No.
So
right now in even less than a year, they have 100 more sows. They start with 650. Now they have 750 sows. So and of course, for people who don't really know how is the farm running, is imagine the job that they have, that they did to be able to gain 100 more sows.
Out of 700, so
you have to increase the number of detections, the insemination, they get pregnant, that
mortality,
that they don't die, that they grow, that they stay healthy. No. I'm fascinated with the agriculture. Yeah, it's amazing.
Is this an industry that you want to stick for a while, or why do you like agriculture?
I think I like agriculture because my dad was an agronomist, and most of my childhood I was living in a ranch, and and because the connection with the animals and the wildness and how we call it, to be able to be close to nature, for me is key. But any sector.
I think if we summarize, if you run a small business or even a mid-sized business, large businesses are already doing it, so they do everything, and you feel like you cannot grow fast enough, or you're not even maintaining what you have, or you can't find the qualified people, and you just given up, there's an opportunity, and there are options. You just have to be, I would say, brave enough to do it.
Yes.
and explore those options. Because if you take a risk, you might get rewarded more than you actually thought.
And maybe they sometimes they believe that it takes a lot of time to
Yeah,
bring.
let's say that. Let's talk about the process.
So
Okay,
yeah.
so how do you start? I come to you, I want to hire an engineer. Let's just leave it open. How do we begin?
I always ask for a job description. The job description is very important because give me all the things that you are looking in that individual. So if you really detail every single one of the skills, even the certifications, the soft skills, everything, that little piece of paper helping me to understand what are your needs. And then understanding exactly what are the needs, then my recruitment starts. So because that gives me the tools to, when I'm interviewing, start asking, how about this? How about the experience in that and that and that, and help me to select the best three of them.
So we start, the company has to provide you with a job description that details exactly what I want,
Yes.
the training, the experience,
Yeah.
the everything.
Everything.
You look for that. You start making your own personal internal list of many people, and then it's about interviewing them. Like we said in the beginning, do they have the right personality to succeed in Canada? Because the idea is not that they leave in next year.
No.
The idea is that the company's recruiting somebody that stays for the whole 3 years, that is the work visa, but stays there after. Maybe renews it, it stays there long term, right? So they does that, you recruit that, and then you start speaking to them, and what kind of testing do you do to make sure that they have the skills, make sure that it's not just a resume with, I can do this, you're hired. Like, how do you prove that they can do the skills?
As I mentioned, you hire me to find you an engineer. So, and you in the job description said, and I really, really want that this guy are certified in that. So when I'm interviewing them, I check all my lines, and then if it's needed a certification, I have people in Mexico that they can test those individuals before they come. So when I present to you the three best ones, I wanna say, this guy have this, and he's already checking the certification that you needed and everything.
Well, one thing that I really like is that the testing of the skills, because let's say I really want somebody who is knowledgeable in this area. Let's say if it's going to be like in the agriculture, let's think of agriculture. If they're really good at soil analysis.
Yes.
Because you're farming, you need to know the acidity in the soil, how to balance it, what to add to it, so you can plant to do. And it says, the resume says, I'm a skilled soil analyst. That's one of my skills. How do you test that? What I like, what you do is that you actually have them take testing to prove the knowledge, not just say it. So you can, they know what they're talking about. And even if it comes to it, hiring professionals in that industry to test them and know, let's test them in this. They do an Un Odyssey exam, and they pass with flying colors. So these are your candidates that have those skills.
Yeah. So after that, when we say they pass, and you choose one. So
From when I gave you the
job description.
job description to when I choose
presenting
how long?
So for that time, it's take 1 month.
Okay.
And then when you say, yes, I like Luis, so is when the immigration process starts. And my immigration consultant is the one in charge of filling the forms and getting together all the paperwork that is needed.
So the company doesn't have to do that?
No, it's like a people who knows that.
Okay.
We choose the best avenue to bring them here, and after that, they buy the ticket and they come here. The last recruitment that I did for Tony was 2 weeks.
2 weeks, wow.
2 weeks.
And he was here.
And he was here ready to work, because after they come, I go there and pick it up from the airport, take them to apply for all the SIN number, health card, open a checking account, and take them to the city where they are going to live and work.
One step that I really like is the integration.
The integration. That is the best important step, because remember, they are coming to a new country. Even though they are excited about it, living here in all about Canada, they need extra support. For them, it's very important to have a people who kind of walk with them into the integration
into their new life.
Into the new life.
Into their new city, into everything. Because it can be very
kind of strange. Shocking. Yeah. Even, I don't know, like going to get groceries.
Yeah, how to do it, where to do it, what are the right prices? They have a lot of questions that the owner or the manager doesn't want to be getting text messages like,
exactly,
is these onions more, is that a good price? Like little things that make the process of integration, of becoming a person that lives in Canada and works in Canada smoother. Exactly. So they can be focused for when they go to work.
And that's the thing that you hire me. You don't want to deal with, I have to take him to open a checking account. No. When I say, Alex, this is your engineer, he's ready to work tomorrow. As normal as other Canadian people here.
Yeah, I think this is very interesting. I really like this topic myself, and I hope that we shared enough information to interest some business owners, and maybe they can contact you or contact somebody else. But I think we need people recruiting and bringing more professionals to Canada.
Yes, we need more. Also people who are passionate what they do.
Number one, at least that they enjoy what they're doing.
Exactly.
Because you would think, who would want to go work in a pig farm?
Pues a lot of people.
A lot of people.
if you find them.
If you know where to look, a lot of people, and they're passionate, and they love it. They love it. Okay, thank you, Mama.
Thank you.